Bon lundi, bienvenue à un sans cachette très spécial aujourd'hui. Salutations à la famille Jazzy, les modos, les réguliers de la chaîne. Merci d'être au rendez-vous pour partager une page d'histoire avec moi. Vous m'excuserez, mais aujourd'hui, l'entrevue va se dérouler principalement en anglais. Je vais faire du mieux que je peux pour traduire les questions, réponses, et je vais dire un gros merci aux modos qui vont essayer de traduire du mieux que vous le pouvez les questions et les réponses en simultané. I am literally over the moon today. After months of talks and back and forth, we finally get to speak on my show. As you might imagine, my guest today is incredibly in demand and busy, so I'm very, very grateful that he's taking the time to talk to me. He's one of my heroes, an extremely gifted and kind human being, and I got to know him through Twitch at the beginning of the pandemic. And from the start, I could tell we share the same love for music of all kinds. His name is Paul Murphy, but most of us know him as Skratch Bastid. He's from Bedford, Nova Scotia, celebrated his 40th birthday on September 2nd. He's a spouse, a father, but I know him mostly as a barbecue master, a producer, and turntable wizard. Skratch Bastid stardom began with his 2001 Scribble Jam appearance. Scribble Jam is a hip-hop festival hosted in Cincinnati, and his rise continued with his win in 2003. World-class status was amplified with his victories in 2004 and 2007. He was the first ever Canadian DJ to be nominated for the Juno Award for Producer of the Year in 2008 and 2016. He's a global ambassador and judge for Red Bull's annual Thre3style DJ competition, and since 2010, he hosts daytime block party style events in various cities called Bastid's Barbecue. Mel and I went to the one in Toronto this summer, actually, where I got the chance to meet him. Take a look.
I'm the baddest ginger you about cold like the blood clot with our camera. Bastid barbecue, too hot. Bastid smoke weed anytime in my party. So he must big up the legend Bob Marley. iPhone, anytime y'all call we. See him so we both see Roberto Cavalli. Call we a yardie, call him a bastard. We kill sound anytime we a party. Call him a yardie, call him a yardie. Hey, I want to them. Bumbo clock. Clocks and Uzis and party. No guns, no inna the club winner. Bust a sound boy end with the baklava card. Them fuck around and I be a dead body. Call we a yardie, call him a yardie. We kill sound anytime we a party. World champion. Call him a yardie. Him kill sound anytime in my party. Bastid barbecue. Let
me hear you say T-shirt. Oh, yeah.
Make my people wanna don't this hit make my people wanna
Most legendary barbecues in the entire world. Make some noise for DJ Skratch Bastid!
It's unparalleled. How can you explain the city's energy tonight? The legends that showed up, man, I don't know. I got nothing to say, but that is the true energy of why I do this. That's barbecue.
He now has 176,000 followers on Instagram, 127,000 on YouTube, close to 60,000 on Twitch, arguably one of the best DJs in Canada and definitely one of the top hip-hop DJs all around the world. Please put some fire in our barbecue chat right now for one of my idols and newfound friend, Paul Murphy, a.k.a. Skratch Bastid.
What's up?
Hello.
What's up, Jazzy Y?
Bonjour, bonjour.
Bonjour, ça va bien?
Oui, ça va bien. Est-ce que tu parles français, Skratch?
Moi, je parle français, oui, c'est ma deuxième langue. Je suis né en Nouvelle-Écosse et à Nouvelle-Écosse, on parle les deux langues. J'ai appris l'immersion en français de 7e année à 12e année. Ensuite, j'ai habité à Montréal entre 2004 et 2009 où j'ai vraiment C'était là où j'ai vraiment appris la langue française.
Oui, à Montréal, oui, effectivement.
J'ai employé ce que j'ai fait à l'école.
Ben, listen, we'll do this in English because I translated all my question. I'm not going back now.
Nope. No problem.
But thank you so much for being here. First of all, how do I call you? I get, is it Skratch or Bastid or Paul? What do your friends call you?
It depends which friend. But, it's up to you. Skratch Bastid. Skratch, Paul, Bastid, Skratch Bastid, whatever you prefer.
Okay,
And let me ask
fine.
you, is it Jazzy Y or Jazzy Y?
No, it's Jazzy Y, actually.
Okay,
Jazzy Y.
okay.
Yeah, because I think as long as I remembered, probably one of the first DJs I looked up to was Jazzy Jeff. And I went nuts and I was looking for a name. And since I play kind of jazz music and, that type of music, I said, why not? That sounds cool. So where does it come from? Skratch Bastid. Because I know I can figure out Skratch. Is it maybe George Spivey or...
Well, the DJ Skratch. Well, I mean, the Skratch. DJ Skratch. I think he got that name because he's Skratch. But my name comes from when I was a kid. Actually, last night I was hanging with the person who gave me the name.
Really?
6'2". He lives here in Toronto now. But I was very young. Well, I was 15 when I started DJing. And at this point, I was going to like all ages hip hop shows in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And I entered a DJ competition when I was 16 called the DJ Olympics. And this was, they had a competition of hip hop DJing, but also house DJing and drum and bass. This was in 1997.
Okay.
When the rave scene was quite popular. And at that competition, I entered as a different name, DJ Stimulus.
Stimulus.
I was into really like underground hip hop, and everyone was talking about, like some kind of like some sort of scientific, sort of like lyrical, miracle, spiritual.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
thought I was like, ooh, this is a cool name, but it was a really bad name. Actually, when the MC said my name on the microphone, I said, that sounds horrible. And by the time
I'm changing tomorrow.
yeah, exactly. So I had no name, but through this competition, I met a bunch of DJs in the city. They took notice of who I was. So and eventually they put me down with their group. And I didn't have a name. So one day they in their group they gave me a slot on a radio show. It was actually a streaming, like internet, the first online radio show I'd ever heard of. It was called triplebypass.com. It was very ahead of its time. And at the time I only knew terrestrial radio, like actual radio you listen to in your car. I didn't know about streaming radio. This is in 1997. So at the time I wanted to do everything with these guys, like because I'm young and trying to get experience. So sure, I'll take a streaming radio show because they were trying to fill a schedule. When I went to look at the schedule, in the slot that they told me my slot was, it said Skratch Bastid. Skratch Bastid, like the bastard.
Yeah, because I looked up Bastid. What does it mean? It means
it's
bastard.
It's just kind of slang, like you bastard. You bastard.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know. Maybe I thought maybe it's not good to swear around your mother or something. So I changed the C to a K and the Bastid just kind of like that. But yeah, so it said Skratch Bastid, and I called them up. I said, "Who's Skratch Bastid? Like, that's my slot, right? I'm still in the same slot." They're like, "Yeah, man, that's you."
That's
and
you.
I was like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "Yeah, you're the little bastard that keeps coming into the city and learning all our scratches, and now you do stuff we don't do." So I think they would be like, "Oh, he's got it. That little bastard's got the scratch," So. Skratch Bastid.
That's a cool story. I got to admit, and we shot. You probably didn't hear the sound because of my setup here and everything, but everybody heard how great it was in Toronto. And I have to. I am a straightforward guy. I told you, I froze up when I met with you. It was too much. At one point, I had too many questions, too many things I wanted to say, and you're like, this is your big day, right? It's a big organization to do that.
There's a lot to do on barbecue day, and as much as I try to catch up with anybody at barbecue day, it's a pretty hard day to do it. So don't be discouraged.
No. But that's what I figured. I said all the stuff you have to think about, and yet I was probably one of the first ones there. It was like 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and then you stay till late, and then there's an after party.
Yeah. It's a real
So-
test of stamina.
It's absolutely insane. And you got a family. I think you have a little girl that's 5.
You're right.
What's her name?
Iris.
Iris. What a beautiful name. And you've been married for how long?
No, good question. Don't ask. Like 7 years now. 7 years.
Well, tell me. Okay. Well,
I
I think
that's right.
the funny story about that is the marriage vow you decided to take. There's a little story with that, right?
You did your homework.
I tried to. That's why I host the show.
Yeah. I managed to sneak in some funny stuff into our marriage vows. When we got married, we just kind of did our own thing. Like, I didn't look at the book of how to get married, so I just decided, like, okay, we did our own little vows to each other, and so I wrote it, and I kind of wrote it in the shower, like the morning of the wedding or something, kind of like in my mind. It's just kind of like how I operate. I like to do things on the spot. And
Creatively, last minute, a little bit.
yeah. I believe in the phrase, if it were not for the last minute, nothing would get done. But even coming in like even in the wedding day, sometimes it's like that. And I think that really, I remember, I had this line where I purposely made a mistake with the word beauty and booty to talk about my wife's booty. And it was when I was reciting in the shower, I'd made this mistake, and a light bulb went in my head. That's amazing. I'm gonna definitely make that mistake when I'm doing it at the wedding. So.
And you actually said booty.
Yeah, and maybe if I was better rehearsed, I would have just said beauty in the shower, and then I would have never come up with this great idea. But because it was last minute, the great ideas just appear out of nowhere.
That's awesome. You're just back from Nova Scotia. You were on vacation, I think.
Yeah,
How
actually,
did Ian hit? How did that work out?
When the hurricane hit, I was out there. So I was just out there twice, actually, and I go out pretty often. My family's out there, my parents and my wife's parents as well. So I was actually out there for my sister's wedding, and they read their vows to each other. So I was like, oh, cool, she liked that. And then I was out there for the hurricane with a show with Jazzy Jeff,
Yes.
the other Jazzy.
Yes.
And,
the other one, yeah.
And it had to get moved because of the hurricane landed the night of our show.
Yeah.
Like, it was crazy. So it got moved to Sunday, and Jeff was nice enough to come back on the Sunday because he had a show in Saturday in Boston. He couldn't come up early, and then he just changed his flights. So that's Jazzy Jeff is, not only my idol, one of my best friends, and one of the nicest people in the world. So that was very.
As I was about to say, I think you guys are best friend, right, or something like that.
Yeah, I would consider Jeff one of my best friends. Yeah, which it always kind of feels funny when I come to the realization of something like this, But yeah, he's a wonderful human being, and yeah, one of Jeff's rules, he just keeps good people around him, and he invites me to so many things, and I'm going to his house for Thanksgiving dinner in this year again, and he came to my wedding, this kind of thing. I don't look at. Every now and then you step back and Jeff does something crazy big on the scale, or he's his partner Will Smith is probably one of the top 5 most recognizable people on the planet.
Of course,
human beings. So you realize that there's every now and then something funny happens with Jeff. I'll share a quick story.
Go ahead.
When the Red Bull Thre3style was in Toronto. We did the halftime show at the Raptors game. It's actually on YouTube. You can see it. And me, Jazzy Jeff, 4 Color Zach from Seattle, and Headspin from Canada. And we did the halftime show at the Miami Heat versus Toronto Raptors game. And it was an amazing experience. And we also got courtside tickets. So we were sitting on the side watching the Miami Heat. And at this time, they had Dwayne Wade, Ray Allen, and LeBron James. Wow. And so me and Jeff were sitting on the baseline, and in the second half, the Heat were playing on the end that we were. And the ball bounced over by us, and I was like, oh, this is so exciting. And like, you're like, literally, I could reach out and touch Ray Allen. So fun. And I'm just, I ask Jeff every now and then, like, hey, do you know so-and-so? He's got so many crazy stories, Sometimes like, do you know this person? Do you know that person? He's like, sometimes he'll be like, oh, I was at DJing Magic Johnson's 50th birthday party and Shaq came up. And it's like, you're like, whoa, these are crazy stories.
Wow.
So anyway, I asked him like sometime during the game, I was like, do you know LeBron James? Like, because I wonder, because LeBron would have been, I don't know, 15 years younger than Jeff. So I wonder, like, do you know LeBron James, like a younger NBA? He's like, yeah. And he just kind of like, just said, yeah. He didn't say like, give me a story.
Yeah,
but then we're sitting there, okay, and the ball dribbles over by us, and LeBron goes and chases it, and he goes to pick up the ball. And he looks up, like, kind of quickly just to like, make sure he's not hitting a person. He just kind of, like, looks up. But then he does a double take, like, he looks at Jeff, like, and I don't think Jeff saw him do the double take. And he looks up. Then LeBron James, he went to go shoot free throws. So he's sitting facing us. We're right here. And he takes 3 dribbles, and he stops. And then he winks at Jeff, and then he shoots the free throw.
Oh, man.
And Jeff goes to me, he goes, yeah, I know LeBron James.
My God. That's amazing. I also heard this story about Shaquille O'Neal waiting in line and getting the business from Charlie Mack, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
that's something too. It's incredible.
Yeah, I know. Like Shaq comes up to Charlie Mack and says, 1992, Shreveport, Louisiana. Like, I was in line for an autograph, and you pushed me to the back of the line because you said I was being a bully, and I must have pushed my way to the front. But I was the first one there. I was standing there, and you made me go to the back of the line. I'll never forget that, Charlie Mack.
Pour les gens, just give me a second, pour les gens qui ne connaissent pas un peu, Charlie Mack, c'est le premier garde du corps de Will Smith et Jazzy Jeff. Et c'est lui qui se promenait avec lui. Il s'occupait, de faire en sorte de tenir les gens à distance, et ainsi de suite. Alors, Charlie Mack, lui, avait renvoyé Shaquille O'Neal au bout de la ligne, puis c'était resté sur le cœur de Shaquille O'Neal et il a remis sur le nez toutes sortes d'histoires. Je suis désolé, on fait ce qu'on peut pour essayer de vous traduire au fur et à mesure. Je présume que plusieurs personnes parlent anglais, que ça va bien aller. Tell me, Skratch, how did your love for music came about? Where is it, your family or...
Yeah, pretty naturally. My dad would always play music around the house, and like if I really, people have asked me this question many times, and if I really think about it, a lot of it comes from my dad. He was just always excited about music. So I can remember him being excited about George Harrison, You Got My Mind Set on You.
Yes.
Or maybe Billy Ocean, Get Out of My Dreams, Get Into My Car.
Yeah.
Or like Phil Collins, or like even like Christopher Cross, or Mike and the Mechanics, Huey Lewis and the News. Like
all great songs, yeah.
Right, so The Power of Love. Like my dad would just, and when he liked it, he would just he would put on like a stank face. He'd be like, and he'd turn it up, and he'd like,
yeah,
so like, I think from a young age, like, I wanted to, like, I saw what he, sometimes be like, listen to the horns are so strong. Like, I can remember stories that I can remember moments, so they really resonated with me, and I don't know if I wanted to like music like that, or you just, when you see someone enjoy music at a certain level, sometimes it helps you enjoy it, you're like, oh, okay, you move to it, or you can just, you pick out certain things, and I mean, that's definitely a trait of mine. Like, I'm a very, very close listener to music and drawing musical connections, and I would say that it started with my dad. He did do some DJing as well. He was, but like very casually, he would DJ like, he just had some records, so he said he'd play a couple parties, different situations, but not professionally. But sometimes if there was a party and someone needed to play the music, he would play the music.
That's so cool. Je veux aussi rappeler aux gens, habituellement, on fait une émission de 2 heures, mais aujourd'hui, Skratch étant tellement occupé, lui, il veut souper avec sa fille, puis ensuite, il y a un événement à 8h30, alors on va écourter ça un petit peu. Thanks again. I'm sorry for people listening in English. We usually do a sans cachette. I love the promo, by the way, you did. That's the biggest hit. Sans cachette is 2 hours usually, but today we're going to shorten it, so I'm going right. So you're a white ginger hair kid from Nova Scotia who loves hip-hop.
Yeah.
How did that go about with the rest of the crew? I mean, the people, I just about 2 days ago saw a video of someone, why do you hate Eminem? A group of black rappers sitting together. He said, because he's white. And he said, yo, man, you're treating him like he's a black hockey player.
Well, yeah.
Shut up and take my money.
Whoa.
Oh my God. Hold on.
Hey.
Please. $25. How do you, let's say it was your stream. How do you react to a $25? Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go. I love it. I love your energy. I love your
Lise
smiles
with
and
the
everything.
big butt.
Thank you, Lise. Merci, Lise. So tell me, how did that go about with your friends and your...
Yeah, pretty naturally. So around in my early teens, I just got obsessed with music, and the main outlet for music was Much Music, and so I would just watch Much Music all day long, from the morning to the night to the weekend. I liked everything. I watched the countdown and the top 30, and then I would watch Power Hour Metal Show, Extendamix, the dance show, but I really liked Rap City, and. Yeah, I loved it. Naughty by Nature, Hip Hop Hooray, OPP were really big at the time. I remember watching the video for Hip Hop Hooray and like hearing how Thre3style from Naughty by Nature rapped, and I'm like, this guy can rap. This is really cool. And then I became, that was my favorite program, was Rap City, and then along came the Wu-Tang Clan. I remember, one really big success was Method Man and Mary J. Blige. You're all that I need. And this song was a huge success, and I loved the song. And then my friend got the Method Man album, and I copied the album, and then I started to learn about, who's Raekwon the Chef, who's RZA, and I got really into the Wu-Tang Clan, and that was I think that obsession just started everything. And there was something it's interesting now. I'm sure you can relate in some ways. I think there's so much information about how music is made now, and it's so easy to make music. You can make full songs on your phone, and but back then there was something about the music of hip hop that was like, what is this music? How is it made? And I didn't really understand like the sampling, or you can clearly hear it's not someone doing it's sampled.
It's not a regular instrument. There's something going on.
So they were and the Wu-Tang Clan made really cool, like dark, kind of spooky music sometimes. They had this way of, matching the energy of the voice with the beats, and it just really spoke to me at that age, and I just became obsessed with it, and in my school, my basketball team, I would trade music with some of the basketball players and stuff like that. And I don't know, I also looked up to there was a MC named Buck65 who was one of my mentors, and he's an MC from Nova Scotia, and he's a white MC too. I think the more I got into hip hop, the more I realized it's super multicultural. But on the surface, on the commercial side, there was a lot of times it's like black or white thing, or you see most of the rappers that were rapping black or something, but the more I got into it, I realized, I never felt out of place, you know what I mean? So sometimes
you didn't have the imposter syndrome.
No, because also like with the DJing, I would follow DJing a lot, and in DJing specifically, it's very multicultural. A lot of Filipino people, Latino people, white, black, of course, but it really didn't seem like a thing. So a lot of time those questions kind of come from maybe people that are not seeing the culture in the same way as I did. The more I got into it.
Okay, we got awesome DJs in the place. I know you have people listening to you from all over the world. I got DJ Marinx from Belgium. I got FDB from Montpellier, France. I've got Marc Dupuis from Quebec. The beautiful city of Quebec. Party Maker. I got a bunch of friends and new people that showed up, so we're very, very happy. Thanks for being with us. You also love jazz. Where did that come? Is there a style you don't like, particularly like, or you're pretty open to any? You like country and all kinds of?
country would be probably my least listened to music, but
Okay.
I've found something to like in every genre. I like some
I
country
feel the same.
songs, you know,
Yeah.
like, and it depends what I'm in the mood for, and as long as it's like, because I think that, you know, there's something special about music. It resonates with you, you know, vibrations. These things are real. Like, it's something about things resonate with you, and it sometimes had to be presented in the right way, and I've heard some country songs that I really really love. You know, the song, but you know,
Especially the new stuff. Don't you find like there's a kind of mixture? The young country artists now are bringing up new sounds and everything. I think it's very, very refreshing and very fun.
You know what I learned too, Jazzy, is like, I think a lot of it's just sold to us. So it's packaged in a certain way and we buy it. And so we say, oh, it's got to be this. But that comes a lot from the branding. At the end of the day, it's music and sounds as a like the titles that we give things, like even R&B, rhythm and blues. Are you going to say, is Beyonce a blues artist? Is she singing blues over rhythm? Is that what? No, you know, it just became R&B. So like, again, these titles are like just descriptors. They can only get close to describing something, but at the end of the day, it's the music itself that counts.
So you're not a big fan of labels, I hear. Yeah.
I
Okay,
don't
I'm
like
the same. Like I like you're my soul brother. I love it. I love it so much. And tell me about the vinyls. I see the DJs there saying, "Oh my God, the vinyls in the back." What's your love with vinyl? How many do you have, and what's the deal with that?
Yeah, well, when I started buying records, you know, the popular format was CD and cassette. I never had a CD player until I got a computer. I always had a Walkman, a cassette.
Yes.
And we didn't have a CD player at home for the longest time, just cassettes and records. And my dad played records, so and cassettes. And yeah, it was always like harder to get vinyl. I think I got really interested in the pursuit of vinyl, and what I realized was when I was in the record store, I remember actually in grade 6 I did a project on Aerosmith. So I was really into Aerosmith, their album Get a Grip. And I remember my dad took me to a record store because I wanted to learn more about Aerosmith. I only knew the one album. But then I realized they had like 20 albums. You know, this is in the 70s and 80s when people made these records. You know, my dad took me to the record store and said, he's like, this isn't Sam the Record Man. This is a place called Days of Wine and Vinyl. It was in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And he took me up there. And he said, let's go to the Aerosmith section. And I was like, oh, wow, there's like 20 records in here. I'd never heard any of them. But I did. I looked on the back because I had a greatest hits. And there was something about even that experience going into this huge store. I mean, if you look at this wall, can you imagine how much music is on the wall? And it's like, it's never ending, but also you learn as you go. So you're looking at something, it looks good, you listen to it, and then you're like, oh, that's not good. So don't judge a book by its cover. Or you look at and then you turn it over, you read the credits. There's just so many more things that the records bring to the experience of the music. I just think they add so much to it, and it's a personal thing, because like I don't say you have to listen to music on vinyl, because at the end of the day, like, listening to the music is the most important thing. But for me, it's my library. It's my personal library, and there's all kinds of like clues and ways to help my memory with the jacket and the names on it, and all kinds of connections that I've made just by having the vinyl and making connections. So for me, it just became a part of the music searching process that I really got attached to.
Party Maker is asking, do you know J-Rock from Nova Scotia?
Oh yeah, Jonathan Torrens. Yeah, so the Trailer Park Boys, when the Trailer Park Boys were very popular, that was kind of at the peak of my Halifax club days, and they would come out to the club. Like Julian from Trailer Park Boys would come out with a rum and coke. He just looked exactly like he looked on the show. Bubbles would come out with the glasses, and they would rip up downtown. They would just be superstars this time, you know, and the party followed them. And so to be honest, Jonathan Torrens, I've only met him once or twice because he was also, before Trailer Park Boys, he was on like CBC, like he was just like kind of like an actor kid. I think he was I always knew he was pretty famous, but he's a little bit older than me, so I don't really know him, yeah.
Okay. Well, I got to give you my condolences also because of the death of, I think, your friend, Patrick Wayne Stay. That's from
Pat
Nova
Stay.
Scotia.
Yeah. He was. We made a song together with Classified and Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys. Yeah, I didn't know Pat very well, but we did an interview together, something kind of like this at the start of pandemic. And when Pat started to make a name for himself, it was amazing. You know, he made a really big impact in the battle rap scene, and I was like, this guy's from Nova Scotia. That's crazy, you know. And he came out to a barbecue. But like he kind of like came up after I left Nova Scotia in 2004. So I got to know him only when we had at shows or you know, on the phone. But yeah, senseless violence. Really sad story there. The pieces are still getting put together, and it's not good. It's bad.
Yeah. 2001 was a historical year for you. First time at Scribble Jam, and you broke the internet, I think. You were 19 years old, a kid from Halifax, and, well, there was a theme to Star Wars you had to play or something like that, I think?
Well, the story goes like one step back to my friend Buck65. He, you know, MC and DJ and producer. He was very underground. His underground status was pretty big in sort of alternative rap, let's call it, sort of like underground rap.
And just before you give the story, Skratch, if you allow me, please, I want to show, because I know a lot of people haven't seen it.
Go for it.
Though it's been seen 10 million times. Hang on to your hats. This kid is 19 years old, is Star Wars theme, and we'll hear the story right afterwards.
Always two there are, a master and an apprentice.
Seconds to go, count only 30 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 seconds to go.
30 seconds left.
I love how the guys in the back are going like, oh yeah, he's okay. And then you kill it at the end and everybody stands up. So what's the story? You headed there, I think, knowing that your chances of actually winning were slim, right?
Yeah. So I was young, you know. I think at this point I had been DJing for maybe 3 or 4 years. 4 years, I guess. So the record that I'm using to make Star Wars happen is a record by Buck 65, who was my mentor and local MC, and he was a DJ as well, and he was in a DJ competition. So at this point, Buck 65 was quite popular, especially in the city of Halifax. And I thought, okay, like, I'm going to take his record and I'm going to do something to it. But I didn't know what I was going to do to it. I didn't know it would come out that good. And I remember, like, you know, even, again, last minute Murphy here, like, 2 days before the battle, I'm like, I don't really have anything. And when you're coming up with routines, sometimes you're just working things out. Like, so I'm just, like, playing with the record. I'm like, what can I do here? You know, you take one sound, do it, 2 different notes. I'm playing with the pitch, trying different types of things, brainstorming, really. And I was just... So the record, yeah, you can hear it goes dun 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 dun, which is actually from the movie Carrie. You know the movie Carrie?
Okay, yeah.
It's a sample from Carrie. It's If you watch the movie Carrie, it comes up in a really cool moment in the movie. And so I took 2 notes, and like dun 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 dun, and then dun dun dun, and so I was like dun dun. Dun dun. So I'd be like dun 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 dun, just trying things, and then I went dun dun, and then by mistake I pulled this one too far back and it went dun dun, and I went dun dun dun.
Magic happened.
Oh, it's like dun dun dun. I just heard those 3 notes. I was like, oh, cool. Let me try to arrange this. So I was like dun 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 dun.
Hey, buddy. Hello.
And it was like, oh! I called my friend Joe. I was like, Joe, check this. And I put the phone on the speaker and did it and picked it up. Holy shit. He's like, you got him. You got it. And I was like, yeah. So I did that locally, and it went over amazing. There's actually a clip. I haven't shared it in a long time. I don't think it's even on the internet, of like CTV with Lloyd Robertson, like, introducing this clip with me doing that. It was a piece. Yeah, so one day you'll see it, Jazzy. I'll share it.
Absolutely, please. And we just got raided by our friend. I was talking about it 2 minutes ago. DJ FDB from Montpellier, France, with a nice raid. Hi guys. Salut tout le monde. Salut les Français. Malheureusement, aujourd'hui, on fait l'entrevue en anglais avec Skratch Bastid, la star internationale, le Canadien, de la Nouvelle-Écosse, qui est avec nous. So, please tell me you have a photographic memory.
Bien sûr.
You have, because I have a friend, Marc Dupuis, you just said hi to him. Marc Dupuis knows every band, every song, almost every lyric. You know the lyrics of all the songs.
Yeah, for sure. I have a sonic and photographic memory. I have very good sonic memory. So when I hear something once, I'll remember it again. More often than not. And
Thank you, because if you would have said no, I would have felt so like lazy and bad.
But listen, like it can be selective, you know. It depends where you put your brain power. I can't say I remember everything. So
of course, if your wife asks you for something you forgot, then the photographic memory just gone, right?
You get what I'm saying.
But
I remember Mark Dupuis in my chat. He was calling every record. I'm playing vinyl, and you know, he'd hear the song 2 minutes, 2 seconds, and he'd be like, "Oh, that's this." I'm like, "Damn, this guy knows his stuff, man." I was playing music from the disco era, and he knew it very, very, very quickly. So I was like, "Ah, cool." So when I meet other music nerds and DJs that share the same kind of interest, it's always you take note. You're like, "Okay, that guy, yeah, he knows his shit. He knows what he's talking about."
So were you good in school because of that?
Yeah, I was good in school. Yeah, I was an honors student, and I went to university for 1 year, and I probably would have gone for more, but I got busy with DJing, and so I was doing,
Of course.
I remember like one really amazing night of partying, and then the next night I had a calculus exam, and I remember sitting at the exam, and I knew the answers, but my brain wasn't working like the right way, and I was like, I have to choose. I can't do both, and so I chose DJing.
It's worked out pretty good. I just want to say thank you to everybody who's giving out bits and cheers. And I got Jenny Preston, I got DJ Justo that showed up with FDB. And you have to understand, today we're on a express schedule, because usually Sans Cachette is 2 hours. And I know people are expecting, we've got an hour and a half left. We don't. So I have to make it quick. I want to jump to some questions. tell me about the playlist event. And you were talking about Jazzy Jeff, where it's that big, huge gathering where he invites DJs to show up. This is like a sort of a dream. I can only imagine like a retreat where all those great DJs goes and you exchange and you play together. How does it work?
Oh man, that's how it works. It just happens
Okay,
naturally.
thanks.
You know, if you put the right people in a room together, things are going to happen. And I think Jeff says that he was inspired by the Red Bull Thre3style DJ competition. So I got to give some credit to Kenny Mack, who organized that event for Red Bull. He just loved that people were around each other for 5, 6, 7 days, because so often in the music industry you see people for one night and then you can't get deeper with some questions or some ideas. And then when you hang out for 1 week together, lots of ideas, you build something. And he loved that, and he decided to do it himself, which is a wild idea. You know, it's a lot of work, planning, and financial costs. So he found some sponsors, but he put some of his own money into that stuff. You know, like
All you guys stay at his place or what? How does it work?
yeah, well, he's got a very large place. He brings in trailers, like campers, and you can sleep like 4 people to a camper.
Wow.
And so you get in the camper, and like you'd be realizing you're sleeping like in the same camper as DJ Spinna or like maybe Questlove or something. You're like, wow, that's crazy.
Wow.
But yeah, Jeff is a leader in DJing, always has been, and that's just another case of him being an incredible leader.
I saw one time both of you were at his place, I think, and you were going back and forth together, and it was just like my brain started to bleed. It was too much. It's just like too much. Jazzy Jeff and you playing side by side, going back and forth. It's like that barbecue thing, and you can feel there's a kinship of sort. You guys.
Yeah. We played together a lot, actually. That started, I think, with Red Bull Thre3style. And but yeah, there's something about DJs. I love the style of 4 turntables, because like you're matching styles, and someone will play a record, you'll be like, I have something that goes great with this, but I don't have that record, but I have something that goes great with it. So then you bring it in, and there's a lot of room for error, and sometimes errors happen, but we all know how to recover from them or make them not such big errors, and there's a real excitement, and when something good works out, or something really good works out, it feels very, very special, very in the moment. And
yes. On appelle ça de l'art éphémère. You know, it's like something that happens at the moment, and then it's magic, it's gone. And tell me, please, Skratch, tell me a typical day for you. How does it work? What time do you get up? How much hours do you work? What goes on?
Well, my day usually starts with my daughter saying, "Daddy, wake up," or "I'm hungry," or "I want to watch a show."
Is she here now? I saw.
Yes, they just walked in. They're laughing at the story.
Hi, Iris.
It's around 7 o'clock, something like that, a little bit before, but typically we like 7. Take my kid to school. Me and my wife take her to school, and then school starts at 8:30. There you go. And so I do that, and then typically grab a coffee, eat breakfast. Maybe take care of some urgent business, like inboxing the emails. And then, but almost immediately I try to start playing music. Sometimes at breakfast, sometimes in the shower I want to start a song. Like, music really gets me going. So there's no doubt that no matter what I'm doing, at some point in the first few hours of the day, music gets involved. And
what portion is it that you practice, you play music, or you produce? How does it work? Because I find it very, very difficult. I produce too, and between practicing technique or whatever, because I want to learn how to get better and whatever, and producing, and life.
It's hard, exactly. And truth be told, I haven't done enough production in the last few years, even since COVID times. I focused more on streaming, and so that's something where the schedule of my week has changed with the streaming. When you talk about what I do during my day, no 2 days are the same.
But
they all kind of start.
No doubt. I follow you on Instagram, and if the mods can put the links, I follow you, and it's incredible. I'm out of breath and I'm just watching.
Yeah, you know, it's really fun. My wife just smiled and laughed at that question because she knows some of my plans and some of my travel is really crazy. But I'm just motivated. I never take for granted that what I do is a special opportunity for me to experience life and the world and everything. So, you know, I've been to over 55 countries. I lost count. I have to write them out again. But, you know, and it's all because of DJing. I would have only been to 2 or 3 maybe if it was just travel. Who knows? Maybe I would have got interested. But through DJing, 2001, I started traveling America and UK and you know, changed my life.
And social media, Skratch. I saw also somebody said, you know, before the rock stars of the 70s and the 80s, it was like party and concerts. Now it's like most of the time is social media. How big is your team, Skratch Bastid? Because you're on every platform and you keep it posted and it's crazy. How do you do it?
Right now, my team is me, quite small.
Yeah, well, I thought so.
Yeah. So I don't
and
know.
I'm like, wow, how does he do it? It's
I learned
crazy.
from people how to do it. You know, you just make it part of your life, or not. You know, to be honest, I probably do a little bit less social media in the last 2 years since having my kid. You know, you realize, okay, these moments don't come back. So
yeah, you got to be careful. And you got Iris that's watching. She said, "Daddy's always taking pictures." I love that.
Yeah, right. Oh, man, you catch everything, bro. Holy smokes, man. She says that. She'll say, "Dad, stop." You know, and you know what? That tells me you learn so much from kids. You're like, okay,
of course,
cool.
yeah, it grounds you, right? It brings you back to, okay, yeah, you're right. Maybe
I
that's.
talk a lot about being in the moment, and you know, you can experience moments on your phone and online, like right now. But you know, there's moments happening in front of you too that you have to keep a balance.
I have to ask you how okay, so you're a great DJ, you do great events, but Bastid barbecue. What's the barbecue part? And now you have your own sauces, hot sauces. If you go to the Skratch Bastid's website, you can buy hot sauces. And aprons? What's the deal with that?
Well, when I was starting DJing, my goal was I don't know if I had a goal when I started, but when I started getting more gigs with DJing, I was playing in the clubs all the time and getting really good at it. But you know, like in the club is just one setting. When you're a DJ, you like to pick the music for different settings, and the club was one setting, and I did it really well. And I would play three nights a week or something like this in Halifax, but you're almost always playing 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. or something like this in a dark room with loud music and alcohol and whatever, like a stage. And you have different types of different bars have different feels and vibes, but one vibe that I couldn't really share was what I like to do in the afternoon at home on my deck, listening to music while I cook. And I was like, this is like a feeling that I really want to share with people, and some music that I want to share with people. So I said, okay, well, we have to set up a party like that. So I decided, you know, let's do the food. Let's go all the way. Let's do the food. We'll match the barbecue. It was like a little bit more concept. Like even still now, it's still about the music, but the setting, we make it food so you can stay for 8 hours like you guys did. You guys were there all day. It was amazing.
Yes, sir.
You know,
yes,
and
sir.
I have a lot to share, so it's like I want people to stay, and I think when people eat, they're happy, right? You get happy when
Absolutely.
you eat. So,
you're definitely a good host. Let me tell you that. No, everything was perfect. It was hosted perfectly. It was so funny because I was with my girlfriend Mel, and she's like a girly girl, you know, and all the best sense. There's one chair there. There's a guy with one chair. Everybody's standing and jumping, and after like I think 5 or 6 hours, she's like, oh man, and the guy's like, please sit down, and you see her sitting down because, oh, thank you, the only girl. She managed to find the one chair in the place, but we had a blast, man. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So how does it work to organize such a huge event? You have help? You have Red Bull or
we have some sponsors. I work with different people to run the event. It's been a few different people over the years, but yeah, like coordinators, and I'm pretty hands-on myself. Sometimes I'm paying some bills and things like this, but
yeah,
there's no rule book. You just got to get it done. And every year you learn something new, you know? Like, oh, darn, we should have done that different. Okay, next year we'll fix it. Oh, we should do this. Oh, so now,
and you do them all over Canada, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, in the States as well.
States too?
Yeah. This year only Austin, but I've done barbecues in Austin, New York, Los Angeles, Miami, Philadelphia, and then in Canada, Halifax, Ottawa, Toronto, Calgary, Muskoka, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Vancouver, and then I would do the party as well at Red Bull Thre3style. So we did one in Taipei, in Tokyo, in Santiago, Chile, in Krakow, Poland.
When is Ottawa, Skratch?
I don't know. I haven't done one in Ottawa for maybe 5 or 6 years.
Okay. Well, I'm going to organize a delegation. We're going to show up. The Jazzy Y bunch for sure. Yeah, we're going to go.
I'd love to come back. It's been a while since I came back to Ottawa. I think the last thing I did was at the NAC, the National Arts Center. I did I play with sometimes with strings, and I did a string set there.
Wow. That's pretty cool. Okay, I'm gonna, because I know we're running out of time a little bit.
Yeah.
So we're gonna accelerate the questions. I got a couple of. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Tell me where you see yourself.
That's a good question. I mean, I don't know. It's always changing. The long-term stuff, it's really hard to say. But as you get older, you start to. I feel pretty established. You know, like. I see myself doing similar stuff. I think we're still in the first generation of DJs is still around. You know, it was amazing to see Grandmaster Flash on Jazzy Jeff's Twitch the other night.
Yes.
Amazing. Like, I had a moment while I was watching that. It's like, this guy put out what was widely regarded as the first recorded live DJ routine, which is called Adventures of Grandmaster Flash on the Wheels of Steel. It's a 12-inch record. That's just him cutting up records. 1981, I believe. And here he is in 2022, 41 years later, doing a live stream. Jeff facilitated this, and to me, it's like, that's just amazing. And
I rarely saw Jazzy Jeff in awe, but that day, like you said, it was bigger. It was incredible.
He told me he was crying. He told me he was crying. You know, he said, "I'm crying over here because
legend playing the."
And I can imagine he would, because, like, imagine as a kid, like, to me, what Jazzy Jeff is to me, Flash is that to Jazzy Jeff.
Exactly.
I was with Jeff in France. We were in Nice or something like this, and I remember, for whatever reason, I downloaded that day a mixtape of Grandmaster Flash, like I don't know what is live in 1980 at some ballroom or something like this, and I started playing it for Jeff, and he's like, "Oh, I had this tape, you know, just a copied tape." He's like, "I had this one," and he still knew where the little scratches were, or even the slightest thing, like, you know, of course with the gear and he was like, he would like. Even the part, he knew how the scratches went, like dun, 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 like even like and it was amazing to see that stayed with him. That's how big of an impact it had on him. And so to see Jeff, and Jeff's always at the front. Like I said, he's a leader in DJing. Mm-hmm. To see him, and he knows that he knows what he's doing is unique and ahead of the curve, and he wants more people to come with him. Jeff is always like that. Jeff doesn't want it all for himself. He wants for people, and that's one of the biggest lessons I learned from him, you know, because it can be so competitive, but a guy like Jeff is just super
you gotta come together and help. It's a bigger thing than just one person, right?
Exactly.
DJing and music and everything.
Yeah. And,
please tell me, because I have a bunch of very good DJs that want to know what makes a great DJ.
Oh man. Well, I believe a DJ is the music is number one to me, and it started that way. And you know, when I was getting into competitive DJing, sometimes, you know, technique matters as well. But music is always number one. Like I always say, like, someone can just put the right song on at the right time. It doesn't have to be mixed in or anything. It can change the whole room. The room can catch fire just from pushing play. Now, there's different ways to do that, and you can you can bring it in different ways, time it in and bring it in the right way, but ultimately the music does come first, and that's how you work with the music. And so I think selection is number one. Selection makes a great DJ. And when we talk about selection, what is selection? Well, there's all kinds of music in the world. What are you going to play with your time? And sometimes you take the easy or like the tried, tested, and true songs, and sometimes you're like, oh, well, everybody loves Back in Black by AC/DC, so I'm going to play that. But then you're like, okay, well, we've heard Back in Black a lot of times. What about a song that kind of captures that energy, but it's not Back in Black? What if it's a song by, I don't know, the Scorpions or something like that? Or, you might want to go a couple levels down. And I think that's like selection is sometimes it's like, wow, this feels awesome. This sounds like something that like I don't know what it is, but it sounds great, and I want to know what it is. That's one of the best things anyone can ever do is ask you as a DJ, what is this? I
couldn't agree with you more. We have sometimes, and it's. I mean, we all want to fall back in the zone of comfort and play the hit. You want to make the people happy, but then to try to bring them in a voyage or something, and there's this trust that got to build with the crowd, and sometimes. I mean, it's incredible. It's magical.
And you can't always do it, right? Like sometimes you have to change the setting. Like with the barbecue, I said, okay, well, if I want to play the music, I have to create the environment. So I know sometimes, and the DJs online can talk a lot about like, oh, here's the rules. You have to do this. But every room is different. Every city is different. Every bar is different. So there's no real hard rules. But it's whatever you want to for your own. You got to make your own rules, like, and you'll realize with your own discipline, and you'll shape your sound, but ultimately I still love DJing. I had such a fun night last night. I DJed for a group of runners, and I didn't know what I was getting into. I was like, oh, it's a running club. They partied from 7 until 2, and I got there at 10, and they were ready to go. Like, they started in one level of the club, and they came down to the second one when I started at 10, and they literally walked in the room, like, ready to go. First record, woo! And I play a little bit of everything,
Isn't that the best? When the first record, everything blows up?
I know. I was like, oh, wow, there's no build-up.
It's going to be a good night, yeah.
Exactly, and it was. A little too good. But
tell me, that's a very tough question I have for you now. Tell me your 5 top DJs, 5 favorite DJs.
Ooh, yeah, that's really tough. I can tell you 5 of my top. I don't know if I can pick the ultimate 5, but yeah, Jazzy Jeff, gotta be up there. Who else? Let's see. I love the Beat Junkies crew. Melody, Shortcut, J Rock, not from Nova Scotia but from LA.
The other one.
Yeah, that crew is amazing. D Styles. I can't do 5, Jazzy. It's like picking your favorite kid or something.
Yeah. No, I know it's tough.
This is the thing, like, we have people we look up to, but I learned from a young age going to raves and stuff like that. I was playing the hip hop room, and at that time I was only hip hop. But then I would go into the house room. Sometimes I would hear a DJ just playing amazing house music, and to me it wasn't like dance pop. It was like this really cool groove that like I knew nothing about. So I think that there's great DJs in every type of music.
What's the difference between showing off and just showcasing your talent?
That's a good question. I think it's important to understand the balance. And this is something that I don't think I had to unlearn it, but I started in competitive DJing. So when you start in competition, maybe people are expecting that when they go see a show, and you can't just show off the whole entire time. I like to use scratches as a tool, but not as the only focal point. I would prefer to satisfy with just music and then add stuff later. I learned sometimes you come out too strong and you're like, yeah. And I learned this from the first gig that I got after competing. I was 16 years old. I had no club experience, but I got booked for a club because I won the competition. And I remember I practiced everything out, and then I was like, wow, I need an hour? There's no way I can do this for an hour, because it's so much practice.
Intense.
And so much,
it's intense.
It is. So I had to learn how to space it out. And but space it out. I just had to learn how to build a set, and then sometimes I'd be like, oh, I don't even need to. I never really said I don't need to scratch, but I don't. It's just really a technique, and so I treat it like a seasoning. Too much salt spoils the meal.
Very well said from the barbecue master. What gets on your nerves from other DJ performing? When you listen to a DJ and you say, "Oh man."
Good question. Good question.
Thank you. I just worked on this for 4 months.
Well, getting on my nerves. I think in general, it's sort of like just disregard for presentation of something. But I don't know. Like I try. The older I get, the less rules I try to make. Like I think when you're young or fresh at something, sometimes you make rules so you can get better yourself. But I've seen every rule broken, and someone impressed me in some way. Even like things I would have been like no back in the day. I'm like no, because I remember sometimes some DJs. I saw this one guy from Beirut. His name's Ernesto Shaoud. Ernesto.
Shout out Ernesto.
He's from Beirut, and he brought a bag of records, and I didn't know one single record in the bag. Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing.
Wow.
Like, what's here? And I was with DJ Newmark, and this was in Poland, and Newmark knew that this guy was special. He's like, oh, Ernesto's got the craziest stuff, and I'm like, wow. So he got out the plane from Lebanon like at 11 or something like that, comes in the room, and he's just playing these crazy records, Ethiopian records, records from Turkey, records from Beirut. And I'm like, wow, and he's going to play his set. And so he did. He played at my barbecue. I did it just because I knew he had the respect of Newmark. He's like, you got to put this guy on. I will. And he didn't mix anything. He just presented these amazing records. And sometimes without context, he would play a record, and he had the chat. He was almost like a host. And I was like, maybe if I was 16, I would say, this guy's not mixing. But the way that he presented the records, it didn't matter. It was almost like sometimes being different makes you stand out like that.
You mellow out, you grow up, on est un peu plus sage quand on vieillit, n'est-ce pas?
C'est ça.
So you have this guy and you're like, he's in his vibe, man. He says, I'm not. And I love that Sunday. There was one Sunday I remember you were eating a sandwich and presenting songs, and I loved it. And that's when I really fell in love with you, because now you were like playing jazz and talking about. I love to share. I don't know how the people that come, I guess they like it because I have some people that come and listen to me, but I love to explain and décortiquer the song and explain and listen to this little thing and listen give context, somebody who flies on wine or whatever, passionate.
Yeah. No, for sure. I agree. And I have a lot to share. We have so much to share because when you're passionate about something, you notice the finest details of it, So,
absolutely.
And you don't hear them on first listen. So and sometimes you can't tell them everything, right, Jazzy? You can't tell them everything.
No.
You have to keep a little bit to yourself. Sometimes I get excited. Sometimes I want to talk everything about.
Yeah, it's too. You can't get too deep, then you lose people. They're like, okay, I just want to have a good time. Thanks. I'm not here for a course.
You got to know when to shut up, just like any other part of life, And
okay.
Some people don't.
Well, if ever you want to go that deep, call me. I'm listening.
Okay.
I'm going to listen for 3 hours, whatever you got to say. Okay, so tell me about you have a contagious smile. Are you genuinely happy all the time, or you're just like great at faking it?
We all have our hard days. To be honest, I had a challenging day yesterday, but it was just one of those days. Everyone has bad days,
of course.
But I still find ways to smile, and I can catch myself if I feel my forehead a little too bunched up or my cheeks. I try to find something. But so much Jazzy comes from the music. I love music. I love music, and it really does make me happy. And music can always make your mood. Even like 2 days ago it was rainy, so I put in some rainy music. I know if you like jazz, you love rain. You're like, oh, it's a rainy day. You're like, okay, cool. I'm gonna play something moody. You know, and
set a mood.
Yeah, set a mood. And music. I believe that music, it is, like I said, it resonates and harmony in music when two people sing together. But I think even with selection, like when you pick a song that matches the mood, there's some harmony going on, And so
absolutely,
there's a reason that it fits. And so if you're not in a good mood, you can put on a song. It might not be a song about being in a bad mood, but just a song that kind of resonates with you. And when it resonates with you, you have company. You have something there that's in the same mood as you, so you don't feel lonely, you know? So, or you don't feel as sad because you're sharing that somehow through another thing. Maybe you realize it's not as bad. Maybe you put on "Don't You Worry About a Thing" by Stevie, you know, or these kind of things. Like I think music has given me so much, man. So I feel good sharing it because I think that even if I share some facts about someone, maybe it's going to extend their life, maybe it's going to extend their audience, maybe extend the appreciation of the music. It's given me so much, so I like to give back.
Is it okay? Do I still have 10 minutes?
Yep.
We're good? Oh, thank you. I got some more questions. Who'd you like to have dinner with, dead or alive?
Ooh, great question, man. Did you do a career in television or radio or something, Jazzy?
As a matter of fact, yes.
I thought so.
No, but I have a background. Yeah. I'll send you my resume.
Okay, sure. Okay, sure. I kind of got it because you're very good at this.
Thank you so much. Coming from you, it's such an honor. Thank you.
Dead or alive dinner.
Yes.
Oh, man. Well, today it's Gil Scott-Heron. Do you know Gil Scott?
No,
He sang a song called "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised," and he sang a great song called "The Bottle," which you've probably heard before.
Yes.
Yeah, about like alcoholism, but casual. But he's an amazing poet, and I listened to an album today of his called "Reflections," and it was the first time I listened to the album in full, and it just blew my mind this morning. I had a moment with me like, wow. And that's the thing. Like, this album's been out since 1981, and I never really listened. And I've listened to many records, and it blew my mind. And he had a wild career. Started as a poet. He recorded like 12 albums or something like that. He had a drug period, but his music very deep. He had a song about drug addiction called "Home Is Where the Hatred Is," and he had this line where he says. What did he say? He says, they keep saying, kick it, quit it. But have you ever tried to turn your sick soul inside out so the world can watch you die? And he said that, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Like, 'cause he's speaking from a perspective of an addict or something that, and people saying, oh, you can get better at this, you can do this, and he's giving some perspective, and amazing writer, and he, listening to his music, he's political as well, so it gives me some context as a person born after those records came out. What were the politics like at the time? What was this like? And I just feel like at dinner, I feel like there's so much I could learn from Gil Scott-Heron.
You opened the door there. That wasn't a question, but now I need to ask. You're a superstar in your own right, and you must be offered a bunch of alcohol and drugs and all kinds of shit. And how do you deal with all of this? And how do you do your set? You can't be like buzzed out playing and whatever.
No, yeah.
How do you deal with all of this?
Yeah, it takes discipline. I like to drink. Not too much. I like to smoke a bit, not too much. Anything in moderation. There's certain drugs that I've never touched and don't care to. But yeah, I think like it's important to people come to see you do your thing, and if you're not in the shape to play, and that's interesting because I know I've read some shows about Gil Scott-Heron where he was not in any shape to perform, but. That's kind of beside the point, but yeah, you need discipline, and if you're into drugs and stuff, you got to be beyond drugs or anything. What you got to remember is people are coming to share some time with you, and you think about it like a family reunion. If you go to a family reunion and your uncle doesn't care and he's just drunk and he doesn't want to be there, you not want to go back again. So if you're going to be performing and it's not special, they might not come back. So. And the moment is special, so it's meant to be enjoyed in the best way possible. But I don't I'm not strict about that stuff per se, and in the right environment, I think if it's a small party and everyone's having some drinks or something, sometimes it's okay.
But you're when you're performing, I mean, you're performing first and foremost.
And I have to do.
Yeah.
You know, I can't
There's a
drive
speed
drunk.
and
you know,
everything.
I can't
So
drive
how's
drunk.
your finger, by the way? I just
It's
realized
doing
you're.
good. It's doing good. It's doing
Yeah.
good.
What happened?
Just got caught in my pants. Actually, the ones I'm wearing right now. It got caught.
And your
like,
pants?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
At the doctor, I was like doing a checkup, and it got caught. Actually, I tried to pull the pants over my knee, and then I couldn't
see,
get
you're
them back over, and it got stuck, and it came out, and it came up bent like that. So stupid.
See, Skratch is so smart. He gets hurt at the doctor. That's the place where you want to get hurt, fuck. That's the place where you get service. You get hurt right there.
That was my 40th birthday gift to myself.
Oh, jeez. Okay, one thing fans don't know about you, and we'd be surprised to find out.
That's a good question too. I share a lot. So, as you know your facts, is there something surprise that I? Yeah, that's really good. Really.
It'd
good
be
question.
funny that you own an apron and can't cook, for instance.
Yeah, right. No, I can't cook. My wife does most of the cooking in our house, and
you eat healthy. I like that. I like what I see.
Yeah.
So Dr. Jazzy's fine.
I eat pretty simple. I like granola, fruits, eggs and toast, and these. I like breakfast and and I can cook some meals. But I didn't cook a lot of meals because a lot of times at night I'm working, so I don't have time to prepare a big meal before my show. Sometimes, So I'm really good at breakfast and good at lunch.
Okay, we're going to finish up with rapid fire because I don't want your wife to hate me before I meet her. So, rapid fire. Michael Jackson or important questions. Michael Jackson or Prince?
Next question. No, I would probably say Prince. I would probably say Prince, yes.
Oh, I'm surprised. Salt or sugar?
Salt.
Vinyl or digital?
Vinyl.
Oh, wow, that didn't take long. Your favorite decade of music?
The 70s.
70s. Yeah, we share that too. Favorite movie?
I like documentaries. I'm not much of a movie guy.
Okay.
If I had to pick one movie, I used to like The Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a great movie.
When I was a kid, that was my favorite movie. I kind of got out of movies, but that one I could still watch and enjoy.
Okay. Have you ever heard the expression, never meet your idol?
Yeah.
And why do you think? Okay, thank you. Finally, most of my guests haven't heard that before. So why do you think they say that? Because you freeze up when you meet them?
I think it's because mystery can be good sometimes, and when you don't know too much about someone, you don't judge them as much. If you know more about them, sometimes there's truths that exist when you meet someone, and but you also, I think it's important to not disturb some of that idolism.
The distance, the image.
Or just keep the mystery and don't give yourself a reason to judge them on some certain things that they shouldn't be judged for. And I think that I rate Gil Scott-Heron pretty high, and he's come up a lot in this interview, and it could be any one of my top faves any other day. But even with that, maybe you meet Gil Scott, and maybe there's something, maybe he's having a bad day, and you get a bad energy from him. You don't know.
They're human
Everyone's
too.
human.
People idolize some people, and for whatever reason, for 1 second, you probably know her, Véronique Cloutier in Quebec. She's a TV star, and she says, I go to the store and I look like an ass because I'm always smiling because I don't want nobody to tell me, oh, she didn't smile, she looked like she wasn't nice or whatever. So you have to keep that image, I think, of being perfect, because when we idolize people, we want them to be perfect.
That's a piece of it too. Is just sort of the difference between a performer and a personality and your regular life. Everyone needs a break from the camera, and it's less and less now that there's so many cameras around. Before it was a little easier to do one and not the other. But I think as much as I document, I try to keep some parts of my life personal. I don't share too much about my wife and kid because I I like to have that, and it's a privacy thing. I don't. That's my life, and I share some to let people know what I'm doing. But there's a special thing going on there that's ours. It's not everybody else's.
Yes.
It's ours. But with the don't meet your idols thing, I think part of it is just like it's like with a girl or someone you're trying to chase. Sometimes you make the story so big in your head and you're following every fine detail down to the flavor of toothpaste you use in the morning. But like it's just the other side is definitely not thinking like that. So you got to be careful of the type of weight that you bring to because you could be and what I've learned is just don't get your expectations up and try to be as casual as possible and don't make it about you, it's not like as much as the moment means the world to you, try as much as you can to be in the moment and treat them like a regular person, try as much as you can to make them be comfortable around them, and you're going to get the most authentic version of them. And then after that, if you still think like they're not cool, I guess that's it. But then after that interaction, sometimes you go back, you listen to music, and all you can think about is how their breath smelled bad, or how they cut you off at the grocery store in line, or something. You kind of want to preserve the magic.
I understand. Totally agree and understand. One word to describe you, if you had to use one word.
One word. I would say curious.
Curious. I love it. Finish this sentence, please. The world would be a better place if...
Wow. Whoa. I mean, I can answer that with a whole lot of stuff, but...
First thing that comes to mind, please.
Yeah, happiness and kindness. Just more happiness and kindness. I think one begets the other, so more kindness, more understanding.
Do you have a favorite citation or quote?
No, there's a story, East Coast. I'm from Halifax, Nova Scotia. There's the East Coast about the reason they build boats, and it's a story. It's a story about they build boats so that they can go out and use the boat in the ocean, not so they can sit and look pretty in the bay.
Wow. Love it.
So that story has been told a number of ways in different languages, but that resonates with me. It's like it's more about the function. I'm a bit of a function over fashion person, although I do like my jacket right now. But
I love it. Love it.
But I'm function over everything, substance. Yeah.
Well, we're almost at the end. Is there any question I should have asked that I forgot to ask?
Problem.
You were...
we should ask the people in the chat, maybe. I got to go get my phone really quick, Jazzy. Do you see any questions?
Okay, yeah. Go get the phone, and if you have one question, just
why don't
throw
you
the
shout
question.
out some people in the chat? I'm going to go get my phone.
Absolutely, I will do that. Thank you, sir. Alors, les amis, écoute, on approche de la fin. Merci infiniment d'avoir été là. Merci pour le raid FDB. Merci à Justo, Fabio, Mixky, les DJ de l'Est. Merci DJ Karma. La Rose qui s'est réabonné aussi. De Flame, vous voyez comment lui aussi c'est un professionnel accompli qui me dit, garde, je m'en vais quelques minutes, donne tes shout-outs pendant ce temps-là. Un vrai professionnel, j'adore ça. Est-ce qu'il y a une question peut-être que vous avez qui est pertinente que j'ai pas posée à date? Je sais que on est un peu plus pressé dans le temps. Là. On a fait quand même 1h20, très généreux de la part de Skratch Bastid, qui est hyper occupé. Lui, il va aller souper avec sa petite, et puis ensuite, un autre événement ce soir. C'est vraiment, vraiment cool. So, tell us, before we end everything, what's coming up for you? What are the events coming up? What's the lineup? What's your schedule on Twitch?
I broadcast every Tuesday. Tuesday morning coffee from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. is my main weekly set. I'll be doing it tomorrow. And then after, I don't know when my next one will be. That's my weekly, and I try to do some things on the weekend sometimes, but of course weekend is busy with real life gigs as well. This week I'm going to Doha, Qatar.
To Qatar? Oh my God! What are you going? To, what's
for
happening?
a show? They have the World Cup coming with the soccer.
Yes. Yes.
So they're getting ready for that, and I have a gig there as
Wow.
Yeah, first time I've been there. So
Are you going through Qatar Airlines?
I'm flying. Yeah, Air Canada as operated by Qatar Airways. Yeah.
Okay, because I just saw the interior planes and it's crazy. Like
Yeah.
money's no object. It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah, we'll
I have
see.
a question here from Guy that asks, one thing you could have done differently in your career path. What would have been?
Make more music, produce more music.
Produce more music?
I think so. But I think maybe that's my maybe that's where I'm in 10 years. Maybe I'm making more music than DJing. I get so much pleasure out of DJing, and sometimes it's you only have so many hours in the day, and I put a lot of my efforts into DJing. So sometimes it's hard to say no to DJing, and DJing can be as simple as just pulling out a record and playing it, whereas producing, it's a different process.
Absolutely.
But I'm proud of the music that I've done, and if you want to see it, you can go to my Discogs or my Spotify.
Yeah.
And,
Can we put the links again, please, for everyone in the chat? I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You have a newfound friend in me, anyways. And I finish always with the same question to all my guests. Do you have one question for me?
Well, I guess my question was, I think you're a great interviewer. What is your experience in the television or radio?
You see,
field?
that's a good question too. My goal when I was a kid, I was 11 years old, and I had 2 turntables, a microphone, and a mixer, and I bought a Radio Shack microphone. You know those microphones that you could listen to on the FM.
Have FM
thing
transmitter.
107 or whatever.
Yeah,
and I used to plug it upstairs with my mom, and I said, I'm going to play radio. I'm going to be the radio host. So I became a host when I was 18 years old. And I was that for a little while, became a producer, a commercial producer in radio, and then worked in radio for a while, and then in clubs and whatever. Long story. We'll have a beer sometime, and I'll tell you the entire path. But I've quite I'm the guy that didn't have really a plan, but just continuously tried to do what he wanted to do. I didn't stop at, I want to be a doctor for all my life or whatever. So I had a marketing internet agency for 22 years. That's my last step. And now I'm basically spending all my time doing the real passion I have. I'm playing radio now with you,
right?
Except on the internet. That didn't exist. But
well, I think we're ahead of the curve here. There's something really special going on with what we can do now with broadcasting our own channel to the world.
Exactly.
It's and I think sometimes it's a lot of work. It's not easy.
No.
And I think that discourages a lot of people. But if you like doing it, there's so much benefit from it. Building relationships, being a part of a community, just sharing. It's wild, and so I salute you on that. That's awesome, and I think all your stuff looks sharp. So I could tell that maybe some marketing or graphic design in your, at least the eye for it, understanding communication. You
Skratch, we did a Super Bowl party here that people are still talking about now. We did 4 hours. We had videos. We had everything. It was like better than commercial TV. Anyways, in Quebec, I know.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
Last word, please. Last word for our fans and everybody. What do you have to say before we say goodbye?
Well, honestly, just keep doing what you're doing, Jazzy. Why it's really nice. I want to say, it's been a pleasure to get to know you a little bit. I remember just seeing you in the chat, and
yes.
There's my wife, and you're a great member of the community, very positive, and it's awesome to see what you're doing. So keep it up. I'm happy you're doing what you enjoy doing. Same here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. You're so kind. And you know what? I'm gonna say bye now, and I'm gonna let you go, and I'm gonna stay with the chat for a couple of minutes because I want to have another excerpt of your fabulous talent. A little combination we did of you at Evolve and Nightlife Award.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
So bye, Skratch. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jazzy.
People, stay in the chat.
Peace, chat.
We're
Peace,
going to
chat.
be right back.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jazzy.
Put your hands up one time if you're on the vibe.
Hey, les amis, c'était absolument incroyable. J'en ai des frissons. J'espère que vous avez apprécié ça. Moi, c'était probablement une de mes entrevues absolument préférées à vie. Un gars hyper généreux, hyper talentueux, simple, un gars d'équipe, un gars qui est le premier à encourager sa communauté, comme vous qui êtes présentés ce soir. Merci infiniment d'avoir été là, c'était vraiment, vraiment cool. Pour ceux qui sont arrivés un peu plus tard, je vous invite à rester quelques minutes, 2 minutes de plus, parce que je veux vous représenter un exemple du barbecue, où est-ce qu'on a été, Mel et moi, à Toronto. C'était hallucinant, et c'est genre, ça s'appelle le Bastid Barbecue. Il en fait un peu partout en Amérique du Nord. Et si jamais vous avez la chance d'aller à un Bastid Barbecue, vous allez voir, on y mange bien. Il y a d'excellents DJ, beaucoup de talent, beaucoup de fun. Ça vaut la peine. Je vous laisse là-dessus et ne bougez pas. Je vous répète, vous le savez, les habitués de la chaîne, de rester là, s'il vous plaît, parce que je vais raider quelqu'un. On va donner de l'amour au prochain DJ. Restez là, s'il vous plaît. Pour 2 minutes, on regarde le barbecue. Un gros merci au Modo, Marc Dupuis, The Flame, le Blitz, je vais en oublier, là, c'est sûr, Dudes, tout le monde qui avait été là. Je suis Mel, la belle Mel qui était là aussi. Merci infiniment à toute la gang d'avoir été là. Et je vous laisse une autre fois sur les images de Toronto. Ne bougez pas, Mirabel, j'allais oublier DJRS. Merci beaucoup, c'est ça qui arrive, là. Je suis encore sous le choc. Skratch Bastid avec 300 bits. Are you kidding me, man? Are you kidding me? I love you so much. S'il vous plaît, si ce n'est pas déjà fait, allez vous abonner à la chaîne. S'il vous plaît, allez suivre Skratch Bastid qui vient de donner 300 bits. I'm out of my mind. Out of my mind. Please follow Skratch Bastid. And when you show up, make sure he knows that you're from Jazzy White family. Thank you so much. Let's go. Barbecue. We're going to raid soon. Let's go.
I'm the baddest ginger you about. Cold like the blood clot with our camera. Bastid barbecue, too fucking hot. Bastid smoke weed anytime in my party. So he must big up the legend Bob Marley. iPhone, anytime y'all call we. Same so we both see Roberto Cavalli. Call we a yardie, call him a bastard. We kill sound anytime we a party. Call him a yardie, call him a yardie. Hey, I want to them. Bumbo clock. Clocks and Uzis and party. No guns, no inna the club winner. Bust a sound boy end with the baklava card. Them fuck around and I be a dead body. Call we a yardie, call him a yardie. We kill sound anytime we a party. Bastard a yardie, call him a yardie. Him kill sound anytime him a party. Bastid barbecue.
Let me hear you say Jesus. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Jazzy Jeff, if you have something that all these hip hop motherfuckers know, please play that shit right now.
This hit make my people wanna. Don't this hit make my people wanna. Don't this hit make my people wanna. Don't this hit make my people wanna.
Most legendary barbecues in the entire world. Make some noise for DJ Skratch Bastid.
It's unparalleled. How can you explain the city's energy tonight? The legends that showed up, man. I don't know. I got nothing to say, but that is the true energy of why I do this. That's barbecue 2022.